Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the KFS pregame show. I'm Andrew. He's XJ. He's Mensa. We are here to preview the Knicks' upcoming matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. They head across the river to take on the always functional and never at all a high topic for conversation in the news. Little brothers here in the tri-state area. More on that in just a second. Some news and notes if you are unaware. Quentin Grimes is available to play tonight for the Knicks. Ken Watanabe is out for the Brooklyn Nets. And according to Tom Thibodeau, Cam Reddish could start, which is code for he's probably going to get the start. You will get our reaction to the Knicks starting lineup live right here on the air when it is announced, as well as another edition of Betting and Sweating presented by our good friends, the fine folks over at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet 100, win 100. That's bet $100, win $100. Download, bet, win. Again, that's www.wynnbet.com. Fellas, we take on little brother tonight. I don't even know if it's I know they are the little brother of the Knicks, but big brothers also got their issues. So I don't necessarily like to talk down to them. However, given the opportunity, I love to take my 10 seconds to laugh at little brother. And I usually go to you guys and ask your thoughts about the most recent game. I have nothing to add to the Minnesota game. I don't know if you guys, we were right. Well, okay, XJ, we were right. It would be a make or miss game on 3-pointers, and the Western Conference equivalent of the Knicks, the Timberwolves, allowed as many threes as we thought they would. So the question I'm going to go to you with, XJ, I'll start with you. Does a guy making 8 3-pointers and getting 31 points on 15 shots, are you allowed to say that's a good game?
You made that a very narrow question, which kind of forces my hand a little bit. I think you're allowed to say that that's a good game.
I was off that night, and yet I tuned in for the post game, and everybody was like, "Randle sucks. I can't believe he taking the ball from this guy." I just was like, Randle was really good tonight, offensively at least.
Randle was exceptional offensively. You're allowed to say it. You're allowed to call it how it is. In a 1-game sample size, anything can happen. You know, we've seen anybody erupt for 8 threes. I don't know who has the most threes in a game, but they're probably not all players you would think have a ton of threes in those games. So, it was a great game. Nothing you can take away from him offensively. I don't think it's sustainable. If that's a question, like long term, do I think suddenly he's a 40% 3-point shooter again? Absolutely not. I think he's what he is, about 30%. I think that's what we'll see kind of the rest of his career. But yeah, nothing you can take away from him.
Mensa, same question to you. And because I follow you on Twitter, I know your thoughts were made public about Julius Randle during his 31.8 threes performance. How are you feeling now with 2 days to reflect on easily his best game of the season? One of his best games as a Knick.
So I am going to take away from Julius Randle.
Let's do it.
I think he had great results. I did not like any of the process. I think that, he took some open threes. That's great. But I personally, and this is going to sound like I'm probably going to be labeled one of the biggest Julius Randle haters after this comment, but I don't really care. I would like to see Julius Randle earn his threes. I don't like when he starts the game off in the first quarter and he's taking 2 or 3. He's doing step backs, and it's like, have you gotten to the line as yet? Have you dunked on somebody yet? Have you finished in the pick and roll yet? Things that nominal power forwards normally do before they start shooting threes. If they're leaving you wide open, okay, not a problem. But the chances, I never want to see Julius Randle shoot 13 threes in a game ever again. It just doesn't. We cannot win long-term that way. And I think that early in the season, you want to set your habits, and that is not a game that game will be the outlier. If Julius Randle decides that he's going to be Steph Curry's a 6'9" cousin, then cool. That's perfect. But I don't expect that to happen ever again this season. It happened once last year, so I guess this is his one for the year. And I'm afraid of what that's going to do to his mentality. Like if it's going to empower him to shoot more because, well, I hit 8 the other night, like it just, I hated the results. I didn't hate the results. I love the results. I hated the process. And that's always been my problem with Julius Randle is he could make the game so easy for himself, but he chooses to do the difficult things. And sometimes it pays off, like what 1 in 82 times, but that's less than what? That's less than 2%, less than 1% actually. No, a little over 1%. Like that's not something that we can bank on night in and night out. And okay, you did it against the Minnesota Timberwolves in their building. I mean, I'll save my thoughts for the Timberwolves for another podcast, but that, needless to say, that's not going to be something that we can, again, bank on. And I want early in the season for us to set our habits and to do the right things early so that when it's game 40, game 50, game 60, you know what works for you. And Julius Randle shooting 13 threes will not work for the Knicks this season.
Okay, so 2 things. One, for as much as we've maligned him for how bad his shooting start to the season was, especially from long range, in his last 2 games, this is why the short sample size of evaluating guys through 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, however many you want to go through early in the season, they really just don't matter because he was shooting 20% through 8 games in the season. And through his last 2 games where he went 3 for 7 and 8 for 16, or 8 for 14, whatever it was, making 8 threes, he's up to 33% for the season. I don't think he's a 33% 3-point shooter. I don't think he's a 20% 3-point shooter. But it's still early enough in the year that he can turn his season around with one good game like we just saw. I think my bigger takeaway, and it's why he has such an uphill climb this season with this fan base, especially those of us that look deeper into numbers here at Knicks Film School. Even on a good night like that, he's going to get criticized because, like you said, the process very early on, I was like, why are we having Julius take these threes? Now, look, this is XJ and I talked about this before the Minnesota game. This is what you do against the Timberwolves. You take a lot of threes. They don't defend them very well. They allow a lot of them, and it's why, I mean, you want to talk about the Knicks Western Conference equivalent. I'm even lower on the Timberwolves, and at least the Knicks didn't make the trade the Timberwolves made for Rudy Gobert, so they're maxed out as far as assets are concerned and ability to improve the roster going forward. I can't fault him for taking advantage of a weak 3-point defensive team and capitalizing on it. I'm curious in a game like tonight when you have a team like the Nets, who are 29th in the NBA on the season in 3-point percentage against. If we're going to see that again, they don't allow a ton of threes, but they allow them to go in. So you wonder if the threes that they allow are open. This is just what it's going to be with Randle all year, unless he actually does turn into, a glimmer of what the all NBA season was. I really think this is what we're unfortunately stuck with, that even on his good games, we're like, yeah, but we should have done this instead. So we'll see.
I just want to say one thing, just to kind of tie it up, is that I think that the good thing about the game is that it could potentially build Randle's confidence. Like you saw him talking a lot of trash back and forth with Cat and a couple other guys, and it felt like he was hot. So that's why he started jacking up shots. This is not a game, like Mensa said, like we're all saying, you can't build off of this. This is not sustainable. But, just maybe it'll be a confidence builder for him. Hopefully not in the wrong way where he starts jacking up threes and thinks that's his game now. But maybe he'll be more aggressive in kind of how he was earlier in the year, getting deep in the paint and getting better shots. So I think it could be a confidence builder for him. So that's all I'm thinking.
Can I add one more thing? And I want to actually go on record and hopefully we could put something to bed forever as a fan base. I know, like, I'm just a dude on a YouTube channel, that a pretty good one, by the way, but like, I'm just a dude, like, so I don't have that much authority, but can we officially, as a fan base, as a people, put something to bed? His teammates don't hate him. That thing with RJ interviewing him after the game, Like we've created so many fake narratives about how they all don't like Julius and like the young guys hate him, and it's like he's off on an island alone. It just none of that's real. Like they these are professionals. They're in the locker room. They do stuff that we don't get to see, and it's the relationships and the bonds that they've built just don't matter to Knicks Twitter, where we create the this guy hates this person. Like they tried to have a Obi versus Randle thing last season, right? Obi Toppin bought Kaiden a Papa Shot for his birthday. You know what I have never done for a coworker I don't like? Buy their kid anything. You know, like at a certain point, we have to realize that what we manipulate and what we try to come up with on Twitter is just not real. Okay. And we can comment and criticize Julius for poor process and even poor results. But when it gets deeper than that, we have to realize we don't know as much as we think we do, especially the behind the scenes of the locker room. Anyway, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, and we'll try to do it without laughing. The Brooklyn Nets are 4-7 on the season. They're 2-4 at home. Their most recent game, I might actually have to laugh at because down 2 against Luka Doncic in Dallas. See, I'm already laughing. Kevin Durant had made 96 free throws in a row and had a chance to tie the game with 4 or 5 seconds left, and his streak ended, and he missed both, but he missed the first, and the Nets went on to lose 96-94 in Brooklyn. In Dallas, I should say. Kevin Durant on the season is averaging 31.6 rebounds, 4.7 assists on 51% from the field on 20 attempts, 33% from the field on 5 attempts, and 93% from the line on 9 attempts a game. So they're bottom 5 this season. The Nets are bottom 5 overall in offensive rebounding, defensive rebound percentage, rebounding overall. They're just not a good rebounding team. More on that later when we get to betting and sweating. Pace, they're one of the slowest teams in the NBA. They're 27th in the league. And on defense, they are 29th in opponent 3-point percentage. Teams have been making threes against them this year. And opponent free throw opponent free throw attempts percentage. So free throw attempts per 100 possessions, they're 27th. So they allow a lot of free throws as well. As far as what they're top 5 in, they weren't top 5 in much. They're actually a really good shot blocking team. So I don't know if they're really good at rim protection. They lead the league in blocks per game. They're number 4 in free throw attempts free throw percentage per game. And they're not top 5 in much else. However, they fired their coach 3 games ago. So I decided just to see what it looks like through 3 games under Jacques Vaughn. Jacques Vaughn was made the official coach of the Brooklyn Nets today. And in the last 3 games, the smallest of sample sizes, they are first in defensive rating, first in net rating, second in assist to turnover percentage, assist to turnover ratio, and 4th in turnover percentage. Now, I have no idea if a coaching change is responsible for this or just a convenient portion of the schedule is responsible for this. They have played better since Steve Nash, and he who shall not be named, that is suspended until further notice, is not there. But the Nets are playing better is the point. And so they come into this Knicks game while having a 2-point loss, winning 2 of their last 3 and looking a lot better, especially on one end of the floor under Jacques Vaughn. So XJ, we'll go to you first here. First of all, do you see or do you think there is a noticeable change in the Brooklyn Nets since they fired their head coach?
I mean, I think we do tend to see this. I would have to kind of dig through the data on this, but I think we do tend to see this trend where there's a new coach and there is this new coach bump that happens. The team plays a lot harder, kind of tries to ground their identity in their defense. It seems like what is happening with I almost call them New Jersey with the
I make the Freudian slip all the time. Yeah.
Seems to kind of be what's happening with the Nets right now. I mean, we also have the absence of Kyrie. Maybe there's fewer distractions, fewer complications on the offensive end. A lot of the Nets basketball games seem to be back and forth between Kyrie and KD. I'm not sure what the stats look like with them both on the court versus off, but it feels like they have a really clear identity when it's just Durant kind of going to the nail and going to the block and like doing work down there and everything runs through him. The other guys play really hard defense. We're also seeing really good shooting by some of their supplemental guys like Watanabe, who's not playing tonight, Royce O'Neal, Cam Thomas. These guys are playing really hard. And also the other thing I want to mention is most of those games that the Nets played really well, and Ben Simmons wasn't there as well. And I think he only played a few minutes the previous game that they lost a close game. So it could be an addition by subtraction kind of thing. I think there's a lot of things going on, really small sample size. So as like a data guy, I can't put too much credence into it. I don't think this is like a great team right now. And I think if you look deeper at the numbers, you looked at the KD numbers for this season. If you look deeper and look at some impact metrics, he's actually not having a great season. He's a little bit down for a KD year. And like way down on kind of like the advanced metrics for himself, right? Like comparing him to himself is what I'm doing. For anybody else, it's an amazing season, but so yeah, I don't know that this is sustainable as well. Again, small sample, but yeah, they're playing a lot better. They seem to be playing harder, and the supplemental guys are playing really well in this stretch.
I want to just follow up. So when you say that for those who might not be aware of the impact metrics and how they work, because I would see a guy averaging 31, 6 and 5 on 20 attempts and really good effective field goal percentage and think he's having a good year. So what exactly are the impact metrics saying that he's not doing that good players or people that are having a good season are doing?
So I need to be really clear. He's having an exceptional season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Kevin Durant. So comparing him against himself in previous years.
I see what you're saying. So
yeah,
is it that he was asked to do more in previous years and this year he's just asked to do less and therefore
it could be a function of usage. It could be a function of usage. And I think a big factor as well is his 3-point percentage being a little bit down. And that's comparing it to 3-point shooting being kind of up across the league right now. So if you look at his league adjusted shooting, he's 93 on his 3-point plus, which means that he's 7% worse than league average on 3-point shooting. So that's a big factor in seeing that when you compare him to himself in years past. Last year he was 108. The year before he's 123. He was 116. So he's always been way above league average on 3-point shooting. That's a little bit down. It's compensated a little bit by the fact that he's getting to the line so much. He's getting to the line at an insane rate this year. I don't know that that's sustainable. I don't watch enough Nets games to know if he's changing his approach, if he's attacking the basket more. But typically we don't see those things kind of sustained throughout a season. And just like one number impact metrics, we don't have a lot of sample size to kind of really make those robust. But we see stuff like 538 Raptor. He's like, I think like maybe 30th in the NBA right now, which is way low for him. He's normally like 1 or 2. And there's a couple of other metrics too that he's kind of down on, just overall impact. But that is not to say he's having a down season. He's having an exceptional season, to be clear.
So to your point about 3-point rate, he is averaging his lowest 3-point attempt rate since 2013. He is up there for typical usage. In fact, he's got his highest usage since 2014 this season. I wonder if that's gone up a little bit over the last couple games with, like you said, Ben Simmons and Kyrie out. Okay, Mance, you've been waiting patiently. I'm sure you have Brooklyn Nets takes. First, I'll ask, like going into this, does the fact that they're playing better make you less confident about a matchup against the Knicks, or should the Knicks take care of a below 500 team tonight?
The Knicks have been beating every team that is under 500 and losing to every team that's above 500. So I think that bodes well for the Knicks. Nothing that the Nets could have done before this game outside of losing Kevin Durant to an injury would have made me feel more or less confident, because at the end of the day, if it's a close game, chances are it's going to come down to the team that had Kevin Durant won, the same way it came down to the team that had Giannis won, and so on and so forth with the Knicks. And fate just has a way of reminding the Knicks that we don't have a superstar whenever we play against one.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that the Nets playing better in the last 3 games phases me one way or the other, because to be honest, I'm completely checked out on Brooklyn Nets basketball. I'm not paying attention to it. I don't necessarily care for it. As a born and raised in Brooklyn, I never liked the Nets. And especially with everything that is happening right now, like there's no reason to like the Nets. So they're probably the team, which is weird because I usually have one or two tidbits on the team. I don't know anything about the Nets. I don't bet on the Nets or against the Nets. They're just a basketball team that exists. Like that's as far as I go as far as acknowledgments. So when it comes to Nets takes, I don't really have any.
Oh, okay. I want to ask a follow-up. Born and raised in Brooklyn, still live in Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
How many Net fans do you run into, interact with, see, find out exist in your day-to-day travels?
Day to day. If I see a Nets fan, like that's a lot for one day. That's the first thing.
Okay.
But every Nets fan that I've ever met was either like a transplant from another city, which is funny because when John did the interview with the guy from Nets Daily, didn't he like mention that he's from California?
LA, yeah, or from California. I'm not sure where from, but yeah.
Like that's just how it is. And then there's always the kids of the venture capitalists who, their parents get sweet tickets and stuff like that. But other than that, like no, Brooklyn Nets. And then you have like the people who are like super like who are more Brooklynites than they are New Yorkers, and there are a lot of Brooklynites like that. But there's like a specific segment of Brooklynites who are just like, oh, we got a team now, so we're gonna rep the team, and that's just not me. So I might, if I can say that like personal like people that I come into contact with on a yearly basis, like people that like are in my Rolodex or whatever, I might say I know like 3 Nets fans total.
So it's funny because we're close to the same age, 3 of us, right? And like John said something, I think either on post game or he might have said it to Matt that the Nets are the one team that he hates more than any other team in the league. And it's just there's such a disconnect between me and him there. They're so low on the totem pole for me. I'm with you guys on this, where it's like I like as far as rivals go, the Heat are way ahead of the Net. The Celtics are way ahead of the Nets. The Pacers are way ahead of the Nets. I hate the Lakers more than the Brooklyn Nets. Although the Lakers I've come to more respect because history tells me to. They're one of the more well-run franchises ever, notwithstanding the last 7 of the last 8 years. I wonder if generationally the rivalry will build, like for the people Chris's age and younger. Well, you guys are shaking your head. No. Okay. XJ, you disagree?
I don't think so. I think they had like a little temporary spike with obviously Kyrie and Katie coming over. When Katie's gone, they're not going anywhere from there. I don't think
so.
People
tonight isn't a rivalry game. Like you guys don't feel like we're playing the Nets tonight. We got. It's New York, right?
I don't feel like that. Not
at
all.
I want to jump in really quickly. About like a year ago, Brian Windhorst was doing a podcast around the time that James Harden was getting traded, and he was talking about how rare it is for a team to actually get a superstar player, not an all-star, but a superstar. And he pointed out the Milwaukee Bucks, who had gone. It's Giannis, and then it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like it was that much space. Same thing with the Rockets. Like they had Yao and T-Mac. I don't know if we can I don't know if it's revisionist history to call them not superstars, but T-Mac, yeah, T-Mac was a superstar.
No, Yao Ming was a phenomenon for like 8 years in the league. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like it was so short lived. Like Houston, James Harden, like bona fide superstar MVP candidate. Hakeem Olajuwon, bona fide superstar MVP candidate, and then they had the Yao and T-Mac years, of course. But
Barkley,
I say all that to say that if the Nets cannot do it with Kevin Durant and James Harden and the other guy, then when are they ever going to usurp the New York Knicks, who are doing things the way that, as a Knicks fan, I've always wanted to see the Knicks build a team like a small market team. Like we're kind of building it like a mid-market, like Washington, D.C., let's just get a bunch of guys who come and play and sell tickets kind of thing. But that's what the Nets should be doing. The Nets, when they had D'Angelo Russell and Joe Harris and Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, like if they kept that team today, it'd be much better than what's going on right now. And that would have helped them build a fan base. But like when you go the Merc route and you already don't have a real fan base, all you're gonna do is sell tickets to the guys who work for J.P. Morgan and you name him. And then once you can't sell tickets to those guys anymore, who is coming to watch Yuta Watanabe? He's a great guy, but is he box office like Stephen A. Smith likes to say? I don't think so. So I'm not high on the Nets, especially because they sold their soul for these guys and they don't have picks. They may have gotten picks from Philly, but if I'm wrong and Embiid doesn't ask out, then those picks are going to be worthless. So I don't like what they're doing. They built a culture, they had a great thing going, and then they sold it to the highest bidder, and that still didn't get them any fans. So what can a team like the Nets do when they're already not the hot ticket in town? It's really hard. Like even the Clippers, who have been great, from what I understand, they're having a hard time like taking over fans from the Lakers, who are the
that's done. That's done. Yeah. Kawhi Leonard got booed at Dodger Stadium. Like that's done. They had a chance. They honestly didn't have a chance, and maybe when they move to Inglewood, they'll find a niche somewhere. But that's done. That's a Laker town.
And even to add on to that, like their star players for the Clippers are from California.
Yeah,
they are from
grew up Laker
they're
fans.
from
Yeah.
Southern California.
Yeah.
So if you can't get Los Angeles to root for two Southern California-born stars who chose to come back, then what chance in hell do the Nets have of usurping the New York Knicks? And that's kind of all the takes that I have about the Nets, because to me they're irrelevant. I hate the Celtics way more. I hate the Heat way more. The Pacers bother me just because I hate Reggie Miller. The Bulls I hate more than them. I don't like the Minnesota Timberwolves because of that comment that Anthony Edwards made 2 years ago about RJ Barrett. I hate them more than I hate the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets don't matter to me. I'm sorry. They don't matter, and they never will matter.
So 3 things. First of all, I apparently called Utah Watanabe Ken Watanabe. Shout out to me rewatching Inception a couple nights ago and seeing Saito in it, played by Ken Watanabe, the famous actor. Had him on my mind. Also, ignorant American over here getting the man's name wrong. I apologize. Utah Watanabe. Second thing, super chat from Lucas. Kyrie and KD, most hated players, must win tonight. Thank you for the contribution. I wonder how old Lucas is if beating the Nets is a must-win game, you know, like if that is that. And the other thing I'll say, and this is what I always used to say about the Nets. I worked retail. I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods for 10 years. And like there's a licensed apparel section where they sell team merchandise. When I lived further east on Long Island, never sold Nets stuff because it just didn't sell out there. When I worked at stores closer to the city, I saw it. But you know what? In 10 years, the question I never got from a customer, can you point me in the direction of your Brooklyn Nets apparel? Not once. Not once was I like, can you point me in Kevin Durant's, Kevin Garnett's stuff? Like Darren Williams, Brooke Lopez. Like they have had some great players there, even if they weren't in the prime of their careers. I'm with you on the irrelevance. I do wonder if a decade from now, a lot of young Nets fans were like, Kevin Durant played for one team, Julius Randle played for another. I'd rather go root for this team. So
I just want to say, I think there's a lot of international interest in Brooklyn, right?
Maybe,
So I think that's why you won't see any merchandise when you're talking about going further outside the city. You get into the city and you see some, and that's not targeted towards New Yorkers. That's targeted towards people who are coming in to visit, right? Like tourists. And even Lucas, who it looks like dropped the super chat in Australian dollars, may not be from the United States. I'm not sure, but I do think that they have some international interest as a result of being in Brooklyn, but I don't think there's any chance of the usurping ever happening. I actually think that doesn't happen, like the B team usurping the A team, and I can't think of one instance of it happening. So
Mets did it in the
80s. Mets fans like to think so.
No, because they did. Number one team, number one talk of the town for 4 years, especially 86.
The Jets are 6-3.
The Jets are 6-3. The problem with that is the Giants. First of all, the problem with that is the Giants are also 6-2, even though PFF has them graded last in the NFL. XJ, I love you. I appreciate advanced stats. No. 6-2 teams are not allowed to be the worst team in the NFL according to any grading system. Don't care how well the analytics are, although they do have the Jets really high. So
PFF does hand grading. Like, it's really hard to criticize them. It's not just like
it's
data
not
driven.
analysis.
It's not just data driven. Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. Marcus Miller just hit a comment in the chat. All 9 Mets fans. You must be either young or trying to push my buttons. If I still watch baseball, it actually would push my buttons.
This guy's from Iowa or something,
Yeah.
right? Like, no, not New York.
The Jets are 6-3. Go away. Okay. We have talked about the Brooklyn Nets and whether they matter. We've talked about them in the sense of whether they're not really 4-7. Let's actually bet on the Brooklyn Nets, or a bet against the Brooklyn Nets, by using the fine folks over at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download Bet Win. I'm going to pull up the site in just a second. Forgot to create the share screen beforehand. There we go. Okay, so this is our weekly segment, our regular game segment, betting and sweating. We're going to go through the lines for tonight and each come up with a prop bet. The spread for tonight, the Knicks are +3 in Brooklyn. The Knicks, the 4-7 Nets are favored at home against the New York Knicks. The money line for tonight, the Knicks are +130 if you want to bet that they'll win. The over-under for tonight is 221. XJ, where are you leaning so far tonight? What are your thoughts as how the game might go?
So, I'm in this pattern a little bit where I've been betting on some the opponent's players to do relatively well or modestly well. I think I might follow that tonight. I think one thing I want to say is I would fade Randle stats because I think this is an Obi game tonight, and I'm excited about it. Like you said, I think that the Nets don't give up too many threes, and I think Randle's not going to try to duplicate what he did the other night. And I think we're going to see a lot of Obi minutes, especially because they're really bad rebounding team, which to me gives an opportunity for Obi to play. I want to say one thing really quick. It's a slight tangent, but I just want to say,
take your time. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I think that if Obi was playing more minutes, he could easily be a 6th Man of the Year candidate and most improved player candidate. And I just want to say this stat that I pulled up myself that I kind of dove deep into NBA.com and it says basically among players with at least 150 minutes this year, there are 2 players who are 50, 40, 90 and averaging over 20 points per 36. Do you know who those 2 players are?
50, 40, 90 averaging
20 points per 36.
Ooh. Hit me.
One is probably the MVP right now.
Oh, Giannis?
Or at least top 2. No, not
Luka?
Giannis.
No, Luka's not. Is
Steph Curry?
Steph. Yeah,
Steph Curry and Obi Toppin. Those are the only 2.
That's it.
Those are the only 2.
All right, that's good. That's good company. They brought up.
I just want to jump in.
So
I just want to jump in really fast and say, go watch Lowry Markkinen's highlights and tell me Obi Toppin can't do 95% of that. That's
absolutely.
You guys think Obi creates enough for himself that he could be that?
I think so. I think Obi doesn't need to create for himself. I think he creates for himself via his gravity, via his movement, via his basketball intelligence, via creating space, by his cutting, by being a consistent lob threat. I think that it's overrated creating individual shots for himself. I don't think he needs to do that. I think he does it indirectly, which I think is something that's not fully understood even by the data currently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to. So same thing. How we say Michael Beasley is a bucket, Jordan Clarkson is a bucket. Obi Toppin is an easy bucket. He creates baskets by being faster than you and getting down court. He creates baskets by having spatial awareness and knowing when to cut. He is the kind of guy that if he is scoring 20 points per game, your offense is probably ranked highly in the league because the way he gets everything in the flow of things. That works in the regular season. In the postseason, maybe it gets a little tougher because teams start to take those things away, and that's when it becomes, can you create for yourself? But before you can worry about the postseason, you have to win in the regular season. So I love Obi Toppin. I think that he would absolutely, given minutes, like especially like Amari Stoudemire in Phoenix in his early years, he wasn't, taking guys off the dribble. He was letting Steve Nash set him up and just being more athletic than dudes. And I don't think Obi is the same athlete that Amari is, but once you get, and then on top of that, he doesn't have the same elite setup man as Steve Nash. There are very few guys who are that good at passing the ball. But all that is to say that Obi Toppin as like a weapon is just that, a weapon, and you don't really need, much. It's not like he's like a bow and arrow where you need to like be a skilled archer. He's like a pistol. All you got to do is have a finger and you can shoot things. Like that's Obi Toppin as a basketball player.
I guess my pushback, yes, you're right. First of all, the Amari comp, yes, Steve Nash and Marbury and the point guards that he played with were good at setting him up. He also had a post game that I don't think Obi does. He also has this mid-range shot. It would be called inefficient today, but it was money when he made it back then. That Obi doesn't. I guess my only thought about Obi, because that's why I wanted him to be the starting power forward, and if they did get for Donovan Mitchell, is that like you don't need to call plays for him. Like you said, he gets his offense within the flow of the offense, and somehow he'll end up with 10 to 15 points because, like, he had 3 breakaway dunks, and because he's shooting better this year, he's also a threat from 3-point land. Look, I'm in agreement with both of you, and as far as most improved in minutes are concerned, have a little faith in Tom Thibodeau. His minutes have gone up and up. He played 26 minutes the other night, XJ. And the second half of that game, he left Obi in the game to lengthen the lead when they were up by double digits, yes. But when it was getting chippy and the Timberwolves cut it down to 13, the Obi Randle counter is going up. And
well, you said the second half. I thought you were going to say the second Mitchell Robinson is back, all those minutes are gone, because that's also going to be true.
Listen, have a little faith in Tom Thibodeau.
I don't. You can't ask that of me.
I know. Believe me, I know. I get it. We'll see.
That's sorry, that was a tangent.
Coffin. If that's going to be the nail in the coffin for Tibbs, for whether the front office does or not, I think for everybody, if we see this Obi thing work with him and Randall next together, and then when Mitch comes back, Obi's playing 11 minutes a game again, then I'll jump in with all of you that are like, he's got to go. Anyway, where are you leaning
last
tonight?
Thing I'm going to say, I'm going to give it just the last thing I wanted to say was that I think that being efficient off ball, being a efficient scorer who doesn't need the ball in this NBA is in some ways more valuable than being able to create your own shot.
Mm-hmm.
And Mensa made the point of bringing up a lot of guys who can create their own shot who are much, much, much less valuable than a guy like Obi Toppin. So I think that that's something that we're still just starting to discover about the modern NBA, but I think the usage rate and the creating your own shot is very overrated right now. And just to go back to my bet, despite everything I'm talking about with Obi, somebody I think who's going to have a big night for the Nets is Royce O'Neal. So I like to look at the player props. I feel like, I have a better sense of like who's going to get the usage, who's going to get the volume, who's going to get the minutes. For the Nets, I think Royce O'Neal is going to get plenty of opportunities to do well. I was looking at his over 11.5 points. I like that, but I think I want to go a little bigger. I'm going to do Royce O'Neal player combo, points and assists at 18 plus. For plus 155. He's a little bit better of a playmaker on this team with Kyrie off, and they don't have very many besides KD. So I know Tibbs is going to try to get the ball at KD's hands as much as possible. I think that leaves a lot of opportunities for Royce O'Neal. So that's my bet for tonight.
I'm happy to report, XJ. Royce O'Neal is now plus 160 for 18.
Yeah, even better.
18 plus. So you're plus 160 tonight with Royce O'Neal, points and assists, 18 plus. Mensa, where are you leaning?
I have a rule. Whenever Vegas gives you a layup, take the layup. Okay. Jalen Brunson over 18.5 points is that layup. Nick Claxton is a foul monster. Mitchell Robinson won't be in the paint again tonight. And no matter who starts, either Isaiah Hartenstein will get some spacing for Jalen Brunson or Jericho Sims will get some screen set for Jalen Brunson. I think that if they take whenever Vegas, this is like going to be a rule of thumb for me this year. Whenever Vegas gives Jalen Brunson points at under 19.5, I'm going to take it every day. I think WynnBet has it for plus 130, and I'm just going to take what I know works. I was leaning RJ Barrett over 20.5 points because he's been at or around 20 points for the majority of the season. I think only 3 games he went under 20, and one of those games was the embarrassing opening night. That's kind of an outlier at this point if we look at the rest of the data, even though it's all small sample right now. But again, I just can't. I like winning, and even though I believe in RJ, I think that Jalen Brunson is the easy money and the smart money at 18.5. I love that line no matter who they're playing. So I'm taking Jalen Brunson over 18.5 points.
So I want to add what oh, there was a line change. Hold on. Accept line change. Okay. WynnBet, you're confusing me. Hold on a second. There's a line change. Okay, so Sean took the Knicks plus 0.5 in the second quarter minus 110. And it's not showing up here. So let me go and add that again and see what happens. So it was the second quarter money line. No, it was the second quarter point spread plus 110. Okay, he's got it. There you go. So quick recap of the other night. I took Karl Anthony Towns, points, rebounds, assists, 45 plus. Oh, hold on. We got a starting 5. Let me just interrupt everybody. We've got a starting 5. Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Julius Randle, Jericho Sims starts again for the New York Knicks. This has been the most shocking season. First 11 games that Jericho Sims starting 2 games already this season. More games than Isaiah Hartenstein is blowing my mind.
I'm going to break out a quick data point, which is that we just talked about how the Nets are really bad at rebounding, especially defensive rebounding. And we always talk about Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebounding. Hartenstein is an exceptional offensive rebounder. Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebound percentage is 16.8% this year. Hartenstein's is 14.4%. Both are elite numbers, and I don't see why Hartenstein can't start. It's very strange to me.
So the only thing, and we said this the other night, and it does seem like that did play a role in the game. He'd A, like to keep the second unit together, and B, it's literally an opener for baseball. Jericho, you're here to play the first couple minutes of each half, and then Hartenstein's in, and I've got Obi Randle minutes that I'm waiting to take advantage of later in the game rather than immediately off the bat. You know, that's my only
amount of
thought.
fouls.
What's up?
The amount of fouls that are going to happen between Jericho Sims and Nicholas Claxton in the first 4 minutes of this game, it might be unwatchable because those guys are foul monsters.
Well, so because they're foul monsters, would you rather those foul monster, the foul monster Jericho Sims, would you rather those happen when he's supposed to be in for a long enough stint that gives someone a breather, or at the beginning of the game when, you know, get your 2 fouls out the way and then we go to the guy, and then when he comes back in, it's less important because the game already has a flow to it and you can adjust.
Well, I'd rather not put the Nets in the bonus right away in the first quarter, especially given that Durant is shooting like 9 or 10 free throws a game.
So that gets to my prop. Again, I mentioned it the other day. I had Karl Anthony Towns points, rebounds, assists at 45. And I had to sweat it out because he had 44 in a double-digit game. Late in the fourth, I needed 1 rebound, 1 assist, or 1 point, and he was just like not going near the ball. And to add to it, I mentioned this on the pod. He had a 3 turned into a 2, so I would have had the 45, but because of that one replay review where he was like an inch on the line, I was stuck at 44. Thankfully, he got 1 assist, and I hit. I'm on a 1-game winning streak, and I want to have a little fun tonight. The last time Kevin Durant played the Knicks at the Barclays Center, he went for over 50 points in the game. I'm taking 50 plus points, rebounds, assists for Kevin Durant tonight. Every great player that the Knicks have played so far this season has gone off against the Knicks. I'm going plus 180, 50 plus points, rebounds, and assists for Kevin Durant. Those are our betting and sweating picks for tonight. That is what my computer screen looks like when I hit the wrong button. These are our picks for tonight. We were 2-2 on the last show. We were 4-0 the show before, and whether you want to fade us, go ahead. If you want, I've only won twice, so fade Claudio. The strategy is still a successful one if you want to try it out. But those are our betting and sweating picks presented by WynnBet. One more time, download the WynnBet app or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $100, you win $100. Download, bet, win. Guys, any final thoughts before the Knicks take on the Brooklyn Nets?
I don't know if we flagged the super chat that's in there from Brian Martinez.
Oh, we've got two actually. Hold on. So Luke has actually responded
and
to
Lucas,
us.
yeah.
He's 28 years old. Lots of bandwagon Nets fans in Melbourne, Australia, the capital. No, I'll be back with that in a second because I know I got called out for not knowing the capital of Australia last year. I did know it, didn't retain it. Gonna double check it. But Lucas is 28. And like you said, the Nets might be more of an international brand than they are a local brand. And then Brian Martinez, thank you for your contribution in the super chat. Don't hate or bash the Nets as a Knicks fan. We'd be in the same situation as them if KD came here. He would have brought Kyrie here. I think whatever God you believe in, thank that God every day that Kevin Durant didn't decide to come here, because I would be very conflicted and the drama would be much worse. I'm glad we can just worry about why is Jericho Sims starting. And that's the only questions I have about my team. Not will the point forward that we traded for shoot a 3-pointer ever, especially when they leave him wide open. So good point, Brian. Thank you for the contribution, and thank you everybody for tuning in. XJ, any thoughts before we get to the Brooklyn Nets game?
Last thought, I need Obi to be pushing 30 minutes tonight, and I think we're going to see a big game from him.
Okay, hot take. I like it when you come with these. Okay, hopefully we get a big Obi Toppin game. Mensa, final thoughts.
I think Brunson again. I just love having Jalen Brunson. I think he's going to have a great night, which is why I bet on him. I am hoping to make it 4 in a row in my betting and sweating picks. I'm on a 3-game picking streak, so let's get that to 4. And just to answer the super chat we just had, it was I would not necessarily agree that it was the Knicks. It was Kevin Durant not picking the Knicks as much as at the time when James Dolan was like, we need to see the medicals, and that that annoyed Kevin Durant and that pushed him further away. So we can thank our own toxic culture for Kevin Durant not being here as well. And yeah, but I'm very glad that, because I wanted KD and Kyrie very badly in the summer 2019. Boy, oh boy, am I glad that didn't happen. So yeah, I hope that the Knicks win a good game tonight. I'm just afraid. I just hope that they're controlling, because if it gets close and it becomes they have Kevin Durant and we have Jalen Brunson. I love Jalen Brunson, but he's not Kevin Durant. And I know if we are in a close game, Tom Thibodeau is going to keep one Julius Randle in the game, and he's going to grab the ball, call for clear out to be like, I got this. And we will all collectively groan as a fan base and a Twitter hive. So let's have a good game tonight, and hopefully the Knicks win by more than 8 points. Because if not, it's going to be a loss.
3 things. First of all, he's deferred to, 4 things. First of all, he's deferred to Jalen Brunson a lot in crunch time. They'll look no further than the Charlotte game. So I'm less concerned about ISO Randle, and I'm more concerned about execution overall. Like him being the second option when they double. Is he going to take a long 2, or is he going to get to the rim like he has in the few crunch time situations that the Knicks have had? Go ahead, Mensa.
Are you considering the fact that this is a national TV game and Julius Randle likes to show up and show out on national television?
What's the second part you said? What's the second part you said? Show out.
Television. Yes.
So
okay, he likes
when he's on national television, he's good. I'm not going to get mad at a player for playing good or playing well. Superman does good. He plays well. Yes.
Fair enough.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, the Jets are 6-3. Third thing, the capital of Australia is Canberra. I remembered it, and Google helped me remember it too. There. So it's not Melbourne. It's Canberra. It's not Sydney. It's not Melbourne. It's Canberra. It's spelled Canberra here in the States, but it's pronounced Canberra. And I am cautiously optimistic about this. This Nets team, 3-game sample size and all, is very beatable. And Kevin Durant might still go off tonight. I'm not that afraid of their second and third and fourth options. I really do think the Knicks, if they execute correctly and nothing out of the ordinary happens, the Knicks should win this game. And I'm confident in saying that. So that'll do it for us here on the KFS pregame show. Tune in an hour before every game to this channel or wherever you're watching, over on YouTube, over on Facebook or on Twitter. And we try to break it down as best as possible. One more time, shout out to our friends over at WynnBet. Download their app or head to their website. Take advantage of the special promotion they've got going on right now. XJ and Mensa, they're great. Please give them a follow. Their Twitter handles are in the description. I don't know if you guys are choosing to pay for Twitter. I was paying for Twitter and was verified for a grand total of 5 minutes. And then because I'm the selfless person that I am, I sacrificed my fake blue check and I gave it to the KFS account so we can actually use what the benefits of Twitter Blue are and post longer videos there. So you can follow me and my handle, but head over to Knicks Film School as well and follow our account there. And until next time, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Let's go Knicks Nation. Let's ride.